This is bad.
Good evening and welcome to the Town of Poughkeepsie Zoning Board of Appeals. It's March 9th, 2026. If you'd all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Christine?
Here.
Art? Here. Phyllis?
Here.
Larry is absent. Tony? Here. And Linda's here. Okay, we have a quorum. For any of you unfamiliar with how the proceeding before the Zoning Board of Appeals works, there's an agenda up here on the corner. The agenda is also on the website. Each application will be taken in the order that it appears on the agenda. The applicant will come forward, be sworn in, describe their application. There may be some questions from the board members. The public is welcome to comment on the application. When the record is complete and closed, we'll move on to the next application. At the end of the agenda, and no further testimony or evidence is taken, we'll deliberate. I assume tonight there might be a short break, and then we'll deliberate and have an answer. You can either stay until the end of the meeting or call the zoning administrator in the morning. With that, I note that item number 1 on the agenda has been withdrawn by the applicant. Number 2, 55 Scenic Drive. Is there someone here for that application? Come on up. Okay, if you state your names.
Please, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Taylor Palmer with the law firm of Cutting Fader. Dan Kohler of Hudson Lane.
Mr. Kohler, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Okay, what's new?
All right. Well, good evening. For the record, Taylor Palmer with the law firm of Cutting Fader on behalf of the applicant. Again, joined by Dan Kohler of Hudson Land Design. Mr. Chairman, we are before you this evening for our public hearing in connection with our application for area variance relief for the permitted driveway width for the property at 55 Scenic Drive. We're also here for a maximum permitted impervious surface coverage of 35% pursuant to the code. Since it's been a few minutes since we were last before you, we've done quite a bit of work in connection with this application, and then I'll have Dan speak to some of the stormwater and other conversations that have been taking place in the interim. So for the benefit of the board and the public that may be in attendance either in person or on the Zoom, I'll just give a quick background regarding our property and then what we've done since we last saw you. So just by way of background, we are on the south side of Scenic Drive. It currently consists of about a 0.4 acre parcel that's improved by a single family residence. We also have a paver patio, retaining walls, an above ground pool, wooden deck, landscaping, driveway, and related improvements on the site. Dan is connecting to the Zoom, and then we'll put up some of these, some of the images, but in your packages from our original submission, you'll have the Exhibit A that went through some of that background. We're in the R20 zoning district, and in this area of Scenic Drive, behind the properties is a pretty large hill that then funnels down to these properties. Those go up to Spur Way, and at the bottom of the hill were the properties along Scenic. It's about a 50-foot grade above our residence, that hill that goes behind the properties. The applicants have resided at this property for the last 21 years, where they raised their son and 3 daughters, and then Frank, the applicant's parents, also live at the site with them. So it's a pretty full house, not a college dorm house, but a full family residence. The single-family home was actually built in the 70s, and it was largely unchanged until certain installations in 2014. And then, like many homers during the pandemic, they did do some work on the property, including their backyard. We had some of the amenities that we laid out in our submission, including a sport court. As we've submitted in our supplemental submissions, the applicant is actually going to be removing that sport court in connection with the request that we have before you for impervious surface coverage. During the construction of that addition, they installed 2 retaining walls on the property, and they also installed some stormwater management facilities. That's really just a culvert, but Dan will speak to that in just a minute. Now we're on the Zoom. As we detailed in our submissions, you can mute me, please. We had been working under a building permit that's still open for the site for some of the improvements, and then ultimately the applicants did receive a notice of violation, which they then got a survey, found some encroachments on other properties. They've dealt with one, which is the east side neighbor, which will be removing the sport court. That removes those encroachments. The neighbor to the rear or the south side, we're actually coordinating a lot line adjustment. That will actually negate the need for an impervious surface coverage variance. So while that's still being finalized, it's still pending before you, but that impervious coverage variance will be no more. We are still seeking relief for the applicant's driveway width. And with that, the applicant, in addition to hiring a surveyor when the initial note of violation was received, Dan was hired as the engineer because the neighbor had complained about certain stormwater or drainage issues. These are historic to the property. These are not caused by the applicant's installations that were ultimately here before you, but we're here to design something better than existing and to try and make these conditions better on the site. Geographically, they are set, the neighbor that is to the west is set down a hill. I believe they're on the Zoom. We did receive some comments from them at the original hearing, and then more recently, we did receive copies from the town of some additional comments. As we've noted, we are removing those the encroachments we mentioned, and we're also doing the lot line adjustment. Hudson Land Design has since also been in contact with town staff. That includes the town's highway superintendent. There's a drainage structure, which we'll describe, that connects to the town's facilities. So what Dan's office coordinated with the town's highway superintendent and then with a company that does this work is to jet the lines, right, to sort of clear out potentially any impediments and check to see if there's anything else broken or not functioning in these stormwater facilities. That took place quite literally in the last few days. So they did explore whether there are some blockages, and then what we're trying to do on top of that is ultimately confirm if those have issues, what could be done to improve this condition. So part of this application and part of what we're proposing is to work out some engineering feats to make that better. The applicant did submit some letters of support to your board in prior submissions, so you do have the benefit of that from some of the neighboring property owners. Another inclusion that we provided to you all was a sort of an outline laying out the approximately 55 driveways that we surveyed, that we looked at in the area about the driveway widths and the aprons and sort of the consistency with the character. So we tried to put that in for your record as well to sort of make this less unique than it is, but ultimately to try and give you some sense of the makeup of this neighborhood to help support that. As we mentioned, it is a household of 7 adult members. Frank's family, both his parents are handicapped and have permit from the town for handicap facilities. So this is that piece of this variance, that piece of this relief. We're trying to sort of really address all of this together. Stormwater improvements, other mitigation measures, and throughout. And lastly, but not leastly, and then I'll turn it to Dan. I know you have a lot of public hearings before you tonight. The applicant has been in contact with the neighbors that I believe will speak tonight throughout this whole process and before the meeting and then leading into this meeting. So we were certainly surprised to receive their comments. The applicant has literally been snow blowing or has snow blowed their property during the blizzard, was putting snow onto his property during that whole process. We thought we were coming to a term, so to speak, I guess, with the neighbors, and bringing Dan and company in to fix a problem not caused by the applicant, we thought was a collective solution that we could try and bring up there. I'm sure they'll have their comments tonight, but I just want to make it clear that the applicant who's unable to join us tonight, but I'll ensure he can be at the next hearing, has been and continues to be in communication and has retained the consultants to try and make this a better functioning stormwater system on the site. So I'll turn to Dan quickly to just orient you with the stormwater piece of this, and then certainly pleased to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Taylor. What I'd like to do is I'm just going to share my screen, which I hope you can all see. Okay. So this is the subject property. Can you see my cursor? Just want to make sure. Okay. So this is the subject property. North is oriented straight up. This is Scenic Drive right up in here. And what you see from these contours is that Scenic Drive comes down, there's a low point, and then it comes back up in elevation. And then all of this area drains down towards this area that was behind these 2 houses here generally. Actually, it's probably behind these 3 houses really. But what happens is these contours that are here represent low spots. This was all processed from available LiDAR data. And what happens is there's some trapped drainage, and there are catch basins, 2 of them, that are located generally along the west side of the property line. And what we found is that this catch basin that's right in here was a little bit clogged. So we put a camera in there, and we couldn't get it past about 30 feet. And it was hard to understand why, because the amount of sediment in there and whatnot. So we hired a company that came in, as Taylor mentioned in his presentation. They jetted it out and they videoed it for us. I got the video today. What we found is that at about that spot where our camera got rejected, their camera got rejected as well, but they had a little bit better of a technology than us, and they were able to see around the corner. There's actually a bend in the storm line, which isn't the normal necessarily, but it's what was here. So what we were looking for structures in the street, because this drainage was clearly intended to be flowing north from these catch basins and pipe systems here. And what we found is that there was no drainage structure that we could find here. We found drainage structures upstream and downstream. I called Mike Simon, Highway Superintendent. He was gracious enough to spend some time with me out at the site. We opened up manholes, saw that there was water running through them, saw that there were some relatively large pipes that run through Scenic Drive. So we just weren't able to figure out at that moment when we were there where that water went. So this investigation, it's really a work in progress. So at this point, what we're trying to do is just find out what's there. We're trying to figure out the integrity of it, and if it needs improvements, we'll certainly propose something to that effect. So in working with the highway superintendent today, I actually let him know that there's a 45-degree bend, and that I believe that this structure, which you can probably barely see, there's actually a manhole right there. We thought that that was a sanitary sewer manhole when we were out there, and now we believe it's probably part of the storm sewer infrastructure that's here. One of these two manholes is a storm structure also that we opened up. So it wouldn't be surprising to us if that's a storm manhole, and the way that pipe has an angle on it and a bend on it, it certainly could be that it starts heading up north, but then it starts heading northwest and eventually gets right on into that system there. So the highway superintendent's gonna, continue his investigation on that. What he could tell me is that when they did a little bit of camera work themselves on the system to understand it, is that there's a lot of sediment in that larger storm trunk line that runs down Scenic. So obviously, highway's been pretty busy this year with this winter, but they need to work with the sewer department to jet out the line, which they intend to hopefully get some of that cleaned out, but he's gonna try to determine more. He's looking to go to the site tomorrow and open up that manhole that I just mentioned, which is in front of our neighbor's driveway, and see what's in there. So it's a work in progress. From what I could see from the video, from the first 35 feet of the pipe that we have that's leaving the site, it's in a decent structural integrity state. And so we're gonna just try to continue to figure out exactly what's going on here, and then we'll figure out if cleaning out these lines might have been one of the things that could be the problem, because obviously if there's a lot of sediment in that line, it's relatively small pitch on it, all this area, which is a low area, will then become a pond during times when the system can't handle the extra flow in. Obviously, you reduce capacity with all that sediment in those pipes, so. That's what I've got for now.
Did you have an opportunity to review the videos of the water pouring out of the retaining wall at 55?
Yeah, I've seen some of those, yeah.
Where do you think that water comes from?
Right where it's coming from. Water goes perpendicular to contours, so all this water comes down and it makes its way through and it comes down into this area, which was the low spot as it was. So it's going where it needs to go by cause of gravity. But
I think importantly, we're trying to design, so
Yeah.
the weeping, we call those weeping, well, I don't call them anything, but the weeping holes, I understand as they're referred to in retaining walls, those holes are by design because again, that's the gravity side of things. But Dan's work, once we find out what's going on with that pipe, is to develop something to control or better manage an existing condition, not something necessarily created by the application that's before you, but because we're trying to work with the neighbors' concerns expressed by the application that's before you. So while the driveway itself isn't the cause of the drainage issues, we're trying to come up with what we thought a neighborly solution to a problem they had prior to anything on the site. So we're removing the need for, we're adding additional coverage to this property to negate that variance, and then we're trying to work with our neighbors over an issue that, while not caused per the driveway, would help ameliorate some of those conditions, because again, the weeping holes that are in that wall, the intent would be to channel those, similar to roof gutters and everything else, into a straighter system that won't hit resistance at the bends and gets into a town system that gets it ideally away from the neighbor's property. Again, not something that's being driven by the applicant's installations, but overall betterment for the area, sort of as a means to help mitigate or better just that condition.
Yeah, so those
But it hasn't been
obviously,
designed yet. We just,
you know,
tonight we wanted to come back before you because we've submitted some supplemental materials, and Dan's office has been trying to get this investigation done so that we can give you a tangible stormwater control plan that then shows what's going on. So the applicant, for example, provided to the neighbor the request to come in on their property actually to try and do this investigation. The neighbor said no, so we've since done it on our own property and had to approach it a different, more difficult way to access the pipes. So we're trying to still continue to work in the hopes that that brings our neighbors to the west around. Again, we have support from others in this area of the community. It hasn't presented issue, but this drainage issue, again, not caused by the improvements, has created, I think, the questions that are before you, which the applicant is trying to address through a fully sort of engineered solution to this. We will have to submit, I believe it's a contour permit. Ultimately, if the board were to approve the application, we'd have to submit a contour permit, and I think there's at least one other permit that's associated with this that's not zoning board reviewed. So there's other components that'll go to this, but the idea is to try and ameliorate those concerns or considerations, and then proceed there.
Do you know when the stormwater stuff was put in? The drains?
the drains that are,
Yeah.
the catch basins that are in
Yeah.
the pipe that, I couldn't tell you. All I can tell you is that the corrugated metal pipe that's in there is normally a relatively older product. Most people will use a polyethylene pipe these days with new installations, so it's likely been there for quite a while. I mean, Scenic has been there for quite a long time, obviously. And so with the construction of the road and the way that's all set up, that low area must have had some sort of drainage mitigation at some point, whether or not this was just part of it or all of it. But this is what we're dealing with on the west side of our property, is that line that runs up, so.
All right. And do you think by next month you'll have a better idea of how to go forward?
We'll see. I've got, again, the highway superintendent's gonna open up that manhole tomorrow, and that's gonna tell us a lot. It's either gonna tell us that we have a pipe that's actually going into that structure, which to me would be a good thing. Then we at least know where the pipe's going now. But if it doesn't, then we're gonna have to start going into another phase of investigation of either throwing dye in there or whatever else to try to trace where this line is going to. So it's a work in progress, as I mentioned. I wish I could assign an easier and more likable time frame to it, but we're doing what we can at this moment to push it forward.
All right. Christine, you have any questions?
One question, so you think that the pipe that you're talking about was there before the driveway was widened?
Yes.
Okay.
The retaining wall was added, so that was what was constructed. One of the things that was constructed was the retaining wall with the weeping holes, that was added. But the underground infrastructure to take the water away from the properties, essentially coming off the hill, that's what
That's been there.
right. And it's not, clearly hasn't been working. The applicants so the folks that may speak, the westerly neighbors that may speak this evening, they moved in, I think, around 2017, the applicant said. They've been there, the applicant and owner have been there for 20 plus years, and this condition, meaning the drain, the flooding, or I'm just calling it what it is, but the water on their property has been a condition historically. And for our next appearance, we're gonna ask that you consider continuing the public hearing tonight so that we can continue to design this. But we will have the applicant there who can speak to his personal knowledge, sort of the history to that effect. But notwithstanding what it is or how it's happened, we're committed, I should say, the applicant is committed to coming up with a betterment for, not only for the neighbor, but just that little, I guess, the low point for those 2-3 houses that are there.
Thank you.
Art?
Yeah,
If you'd speak into the microphone.
Okay. Can we discuss the whole thing or just what they want to do?
We can discuss the whole thing.
Okay. Question for either one. The runoff, if you look at the other photos, you're saying that the runoff is not caused by the driveway, but there's a lot of water pooling in that driveway running right through that retaining wall. So how do you propose to stop that from running into the neighbor's yard? I know you say you're going to a catch basin.
Yeah, so again, the concept is that we're gonna try to create a better situation with the water that's running up and hitting the edge of the wall. And then if we can collect that and get that into the system, that pushes it out into the town's sewer line, the storm sewer line, not sanitary sewer, the sewer line, then we'll be in a much better spot. And that's the goal at this point, is to make sure that we have a connection first that has structural integrity and is the right size connection. And then the next part is how do we get our water now back into that? So what was happening before that retaining wall, all that water would still go down there and it would build up and get into those catch basins and still go north. It's going the same exact spot it was going before. We just need to get it in there in a more controlled fashion, I would say.
But wouldn't you think that before that was all blacktopped, the grass and dirt would absorb a lot of that water before? You don't think so?
There's a segment of that, sure.
Oh, he's shaking his head no.
You know, because what happens is, if you look at the soils maps here, what you find is that there's a very high groundwater table here, and there's a very low rate of permeability. So the soils are very poor as it is. So you have a clayey kind of soil, silty, clayey soil. It doesn't have much ability to infiltrate and have percolation. So no matter what, there's gonna be water and it's gonna go into that low spot. Gravity's gonna bring it into the low spots. If we can just control ours a little bit better, I think we'll be in a better spot and we'll be able to provide something that's gonna be an improvement.
Have you given any consideration of putting a catch basin at the edge of your driveway and running into the town line? Sloping the driveway that way?
I'm not
Might be
sure how that would work. I could take a look at it, but,
That would relieve a lot of that water, I would think, that was coming
one of
off.
the thoughts we were having, you know, and there's a lot of, probably a lot of ways to skin the cat, but I'm thinking that if there's a way for us to put a trench drain along the face of the wall, then we can have an area where it gets controlled, and then I can have a penetration come through that wall that goes right into that catch basin system. That's a thought right now. I haven't finalized any thoughts on that, but that's one of our ways of possibly controlling that. Obviously, you know, with retaining walls, we need to be able to relieve that hydrostatic pressure behind them. That's part of the reason why those weeps that are there are doing what they're intended to do, or else the wall crumbles, right? So if we can find a way to better control it, I think it'll be a better improvement overall.
Okay. I think two more questions, if you will. I thought last time we went over this, that the basketball court, or whatever that is, over in the far
Yes,
left, I thought that was gonna be taken up.
it is.
It is.
It
That's
is,
still
yes,
part
that's
of the deal.
proposed to be, regardless of the lot line adjustment, that's also being
So
removed.
that is going out, okay.
That's going out plus the lot line adjustment for additional lands. So that will be gone. That was an encroachment, I believe,
And
to the
has it been-
easterly property, so that's gone.
And has there been any consideration at all of taking the asphalt, the impervious area that's between the house and that wall that runs back to the barbecue area, if you will, removing that and keeping all the blacktop ahead of the garage?
So the variance for the impervious surfaces will no longer be required. But if that, you know, we could certainly look at that. I think Dan's looking at this holistically, so we're not just saying like wall A is, you know, we're looking at this from a contouring full relationship of how this drainage gets down. So if that has a relationship, then I think the applicant is committing to trying to do whatever they can to maintain what is the most important piece here, which is being able to have his, you know, his elderly and parents and family be able to park their vehicles on the property and maintain them there. I mean, we looked at the width of the cars. This is a very non-precedential application. I mean, it was certainly a unique situation with the elderly parents. You have, you know, it's not being operated as a college, you know, rooming house. It's in an area where there are a lot of driveway widths. I mean, some of these were larger or wider than ours, or multiple driveway connections to scenic. So we tried to provide a balance there to show that the community character is more consistent with what we're proposing, and the uniqueness that is what our applicant faces with his family, sort of, on the property.
Last question for me for tonight, I think. Is the garage usable? I don't remember. Or is it living quarters now?
I missed the question, I'm
Is the
sorry.
garage usable or is it
I'll have
living
to,
quarters?
yeah, I've not been in it. I'll ask the
I
applicant.
haven't been in yet.
Because that would take
Sorry.
2 cars out of the equation.
I think still functionality, you're not wrong, with respect to that comment, but I don't know that that would still fit or allow vehicles to operate, for them to park it, but we'll look at,
Okay.
I think we've expressed that same comment
Okay,
in
thanks.
anticipation, but I'll get a better answer for you.
Thanks. Phyllis?
If I could just clarify that the channel that that's my word, considering putting in along on the car, the driveway, it's gonna be on the lack of their side of the road, not the neighbors? The wall, it's gonna, on their side of the wall? Whose side of
No,
the wall is it?
my thought would be to capture it on our side of the wall,
Okay,
and then make a penetration through the wall into the system that brings it out.
towards the end of the road, so that the neighbor will not be impacted by the water under any circumstances.
Right, that,
It's humanly possible.
yeah, of course. That catch basin is set back from the road about 35 feet or so that's the one we would want to connect into. You want to connect into a basin so that you can be able to look backwards if you need to ever, so that we would be able to make sure that our pipe is still functioning properly,
Underground or above ground?
underground.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the costs for the digging underground and connecting to the catch basin is incurred by?
I would assume we're gonna be doing that, yes.
Okay.
Just,
Thank
There
you.
may be,
spoken to my
just to
client,
that point, there may, it's us, I'll answer that. But also, there may be some, there's maybe some consultation with the town to the extent it's a town right-of-way or other interconnectivity, but that comes with a designed and engineered solution before anything gets done. So there may be some town side of it, but not a cost to the town, just a access and rights to do it if we had to be in any type of right-of-way or anything of that effect.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions.
Tony?
I have no questions.
I have no questions.
All right, anyone from the public who wishes to comment on this
Chairman.
application?
May I ask 2 more?
Go ahead.
I kind of lied before, sorry. The pipe that's in there now, it's corrugated, and we all know that corrugated builds up faster than smooth pipe. Would there be a yearly clean out of that, and whose responsibility would that be to maintain that?
It's a private system.
Flow.
So, that could be something that could be worked out between the owners of the property, especially if it's a shared benefit from that. I don't see that as being a problem as long as both parties want to participate. But in normal world, we would want to at least monitor it in the fall and the spring. You want to make sure you get the leaf litter out of there whenever you can.
Right.
Surprisingly enough, little bits of leaf litter and just little twigs
Doesn't take much.
can create a problem right away.
Yeah.
And then you get a snow melt mixed in with a rain event, and all of a sudden you have an issue. So that would be the normal, would be to at least check the catch basins themselves, clean them out, typically annually at least. But you want to at least do your checks in the spring and the fall, particularly after the leaves are down in the fall, so that you make sure you get them before they get clogged in there.
1 more, and I promise this is it. Well, for now. You're talking about doing some kind of a water diversion on their side of the wall. How, on the property owners, that's the one in question. What's going to prevent that from freezing over in the winter and just running the water back through that wall?
Yeah, no, that's.
You're just going to put a half pipe or some kind of a...
Yeah, that's part of it. So if we were to do a trench drain, I'm not sure if you're familiar with a trench drain, but basically it's a long, it looks like a very skinny, long catch basin in a way. It's got a grate, the water falls into it, and then at the bottom of that, you can channelize it whichever way you want to, up to a point where you have a pipe that goes out and discharges it. So in theory, it's going to go ahead and push water there. As it's melting, it's gonna go in and just run down the slope and go out the pipe.
Okay,
And again, our comments, why we're doing this in part is because we were trying to work with the comments received from the neighbor and trying to make this a better functioning condition, even if it's irrespective of the improvements that the applicant did that are also before, effectively before you for the coverage. While we're addressing the coverage issue, the driveway is still before you, and I think the applicant is just trying to be a good neighbor in the context of trying to provide a solution to a longstanding problem that isn't, I'll call it solely generated by the applicant's property. It's a downhill issue, but we're trying to be responsive to that.
Thanks.
All right, anyone from the public who wishes to comment on this application? I don't see anyone in the room. Is there anyone on Zoom who wishes to comment on this application?
Yep, we got a hand up there. You can go ahead and unmute yourself if you'd like.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, if you'd state your names.
Yes, my name is Healy, and here's my husband Rugesh. We reside at 57 Scenic Drive. We are the direct neighbor of the 55 Scenic Drive.
Okay, excuse me, I just want to swear you in. Do you both swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
So first of all, what I would like to correct the one statement that they made when the owner of 55 Scenic Drive reached out to us about jetting the, main.
The
storm line. He asked us for the permission. We did not say no. All we said was, me and my wife, we're gonna discuss and we'll get back to you. And before we got back to him, he already started cleaning up. A lot of the crew came on our property and started jetting the entire storm line. What if something were to happen to those crews while they were on our property? Because first of all, we did not authorize to do that. Second, if something were to happen while they were jetting the storm lines, that's gonna be our responsibility, or whose responsibility was gonna be if somebody were to get hurt? Second of all,
Okay.
and one second. And regarding the other statement that the whoever's representing I don't know if they're attorney or not, but what they're saying under the oath, you guys asserted that the stormwater issues are historic, but building a wall with the pipes that pour water into, our property is a new change. It's not a historic.
All right, let me ask you about that. How long have you lived there?
2017. And one interesting thing is that our neighbor has been here longer than us. It's a known fact to all of us. If you had already known that there is an issue here, it's a lower end of the wall, why would you create something like this? And my question to the town is, when there is a 0.4 acres of land, when there's about 65 to 70% of the grass is removed without any kind of stormwater planning underneath the pavements. I need to know what's underneath the pavements. Like where is the water coming from those little pipes?
All right. Let me
Because
ask
we
you
all
this.
know
When
that nature has its own way of running the water. So removing the grass is what creates all of this, and which is why there has to be proper permits, and as a result, there will be every step of the way should be inspections done to make sure that there is no impact to all of this work. But now here we've been very patient. We've been very happy for their improvements.
Tell me this,
But-
when you moved in, was a stormwater catch basin there on your property?
Yes.
Yes. Now, here's another thing, sir. So when as you can see from the video, when this downpour happened, when all this water got collected, as you can see, it's all pouring down from the driveway and from the next door neighbor's backyard onto our property in the driveway, and our entire backyard was filled. Now that water in the backyard started coming into our basement in the back of the sliding door, and from the driveway, it got into the garage. From the garage, it got into our utility room. From the utility, got into the bathroom and into the finished basement. So our entire bottom floor is damaged. Our personal belonging got damaged. On top of that, a lot of bugs, worms are coming out of the toilet and the shower tub. So you tell us, how can we live like that in this situation? And another thing is, storms are getting worse and worse every year, for last few years. So anytime it pour rains, heavy rains, especially me, I get so stressed out mentally and physically. They all night, oh, is the water gonna coming into my garage again, into my finished basement again, into my bathroom again? Is gonna damage my personal belongings again, my cars, whatever stuff in the garage, into the basement. We also have a huge the pantry closet that got damaged. So
Okay, let me ask you two questions. Was the retaining wall built since you moved there?
No,
no, it was
was-
built after.
Okay, so it was built after you moved in? Okay.
Correct.
yes.
And when the catch basin works, do you still have flooding on your property? Or is it just when the catch basin got clogged up that your property flooded?
No, so this issue happens when there is a longer period of time, constant rain, like I mentioned in the June of 2025,
Right,
which
but
we
when the
noticed.
water is draining through the storm catch basin, does your property still flood?
No, not
Okay.
on a normal case of scenario. It never floods, but when there is excessive amount of rain and there is a heavy storm like we all been facing, yes, then it does. Is it what it does? It starts filling up by the catch basin. The catch basin has so much water it cannot handle because the water is channeled. All of the water is channeled there.
Like from the next door neighbor, from the front
All-
of the road, in the backyard. And so that storm drainage, it cannot handle the load. As you can see,
And-
the 55 Scenic Drive driveway, the way it's designed, it slopes down in the back and it slopes towards our property. So anytime it heavy rains, right away from top, beginning to end until the rain stops, that water keeps coming into our property.
All right, can you, for the engineer, do you do calculations about what the size of the catch basin is supposed to be, or are you able to calculate whether the system is sufficient to handle the runoff?
Yeah, well, we will, as part of our work, we'll run hydrologic and hydraulic calculations. It's really about the sizing of the piping. But without us having an idea of where it discharged and the conditions there, we're not able to do that so we're still in the investigation phase on that, as I mentioned earlier, but we will run calculations.
Okay. Did anyone have any questions for the neighbor?
Oh.
No?
But I do have another question.
Okay.
So right now, all the water naturally goes downhill. Is there any consideration of sending the water the other way to impact the neighbors less? Because it's not just the next door, it's the other two people, correct, am I right?
In theory, yeah, the way that the contours work, the three houses to the west of 55 have a low area behind them. I don't know if
And
the
a hill
town has.
behind all of those properties, so
Right.
it's not just
Yeah.
a hill behind us, it's we're at
Yeah.
the bottom of the hill.
Right, exactly, and so that'll be part of the hydrologic part of our calculation is the drainage area that goes down to this area in totality. The
Okay.
hydraulic part is what pipes can handle that, and for what
Okay.
flow rate, what storm, what design storm, that's what we'll be investigating into. But
Do
in
you,
theory, if we were to try to block the water that runs down towards us, then we're gonna just be holding it back, and then the neighbor to the east is gonna be impacted by that. So it has to continue to make its way until it can get into those avenues that eventually get it out to the Hudson River.
when you're studying that, do you look at all of the properties that are impacted by the water or just that one?
Well, it depends. What we'll be looking at is a design point here of what goes down into that low area. So we're gonna take the entire drainage area, the contributing drainage area that goes to that area in totality. If the highway department can show me that they have any other piping or catch basins or anything, and some of those other low areas, well, then I have to break up that drainage area to see what exactly gets to just these catch basins versus what gets to those. So we'll be looking into all of that. I may have to get some permission to go on the other properties, but.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, for the Shaws, did you have anything else that you wanted to say?
Yes.
Yes, I want to really make sure that the board is aware that the recent work that was the jetting work that was done on my property, on my premises, was done without my consent.
And without towns.
And I never said no to it. I said, I will get back to you. Can I think about it? Can we think about it and get back to you?
And the
So I
owner
want to
said
make
yes.
sure that the statement here are being made falsely. And it should not be allowed. We are all here and to try to resolve this issue. So can we keep the lies away from this conversation? So that's my one request to the group. And
And another thing is, because of this damage that happened, there was a lot of mold grew in my entire basement, finished basement and the garage, and into the utility room. So you know how much mold can damage your personal health. Because we have 2 kids. I have one daughter, she's 16, and I have another son at 3-year-old. So you can imagine how much of that is gonna affect on our own health that we're breathing into it every day. Plus, we are almost into the spring. Rain season is coming up pretty fast. We don't know how much rain we're gonna get this year, on when, and how much heavy rain we're gonna get again. So we already started thinking about this, and we already, under a lot of stress and mental, pressure.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else who wants to comment on this application? Then I'll
So-
move to adjourn it.
When are you going to do the lot line revision application, and what does the board want in terms of that? Because that's, the approval of that is what's needed to make the the impervious coverage easement variance request go away.
I'm not so sure this, I'm gonna move to adjourn it for a month. I'm not so sure they'll have this issue resolved for the driveway by that time, so how long do you think the lot line revision will take?
We have the plan, we have the draft agreement out, so, we'd ideally have it all settled pretty soon, and I know lot line adjustment versus merger, will that still necessitate, that will require the planning board?
That
Yeah,
requires a
that's
planning board, yeah,
Unlike the merger, which wouldn't.
not necessarily require a planning.
Right, yep, so, we could submit that, I think we are in position to submit that within a month of now. We have everything in place, we have the surveys, and we have all the materials, it's just having essentially the agreement.
All right, so if we adjourn it for a month, that's sufficient time for you?
That should be sufficient for us to do the submission to the planning board, but they'll take at least a month to
Okay,
review.
I'd like to see some update on the stormwater
Yeah, we can,
analysis.
yep.
Okay,
sure.
so I'm gonna move to adjourn this to the April 13th. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you for your time this
Right.
evening. The applicant will remain in contact with the neighbors and try and work out.
If you could resolve the issues that
I know,
their
we're trying.
concerns.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you all.
Okay. All right, that brings us to item number 3, that's 6468 Creek Road. Is there someone here for that application?
We received notice today, I think, that they are adjourning without date, requesting to adjourn without date, and they will renotice when they're ready to come back.
Yeah, I think that creates an issue, so I would move to adjourn it for 2 months to keep it on the calendars, otherwise she has to, they're in violation.
Otherwise, they have an enforcement issue.
Yeah.
So it's up to them. If they want an enforcement issue, or they would like an adjournment.
Let's adjourn it for 2 months, and then that should give them plenty of time to get this done, so.
So that's. May 11th? Okay. I move it to the May 11th meeting. Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, then that motion carries.
May 11th.
That brings us to item number 4, 19 Reed Road. Is someone here for that applicant?
We're here on Zoom.
Okay, if you'd identify yourselves?
I'm Liam Dietrich.
I'm Kristen Frisina, Frank.
Do you
Frank-
both swear
Gula.
or excuse me,
I'm sorry.
do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
I do, yes, sorry.
All right, and so just so I'm clear, you're the fence company? Or
Correct.
you're the homeowner? You're the fence company?
Fence company, yes.
All right, why don't you explain what happened?
So we are seeking variance today, in regards to the 4-foot-high, decorative aluminum fence, along the roadside, at 19 Reed Road. The primary purpose of the fence is to make the, whole area pool code. The main reason we're doing it on top of the wall is mostly because there's no natural line in front of the house that we can cross that wouldn't require variance, that would fit with the aesthetics of the property as well as look cohesive with the rest of the buildings and such as that. The whole fence, the main reason we're here for the variance is because the wall itself creates an issue of overall height.
Which previously existed.
Yeah, which the wall did previously exist before we began installing. And the main purpose of the fence, like I said, is just to create a pool code compliant property.
And security.
When was the fence installed?
We began it in middle of August 2025.
It's not complete.
It's not complete yet, no.
Okay. And do you do business in the town of Poughkeepsie?
Yes,
And you're familiar with the code?
yes.
And did you apply for a fence permit?
No, it was a miscommunication between us and the primary contractor, amongst who was pulling the permit, and it just wasn't communicated well.
Okay. So that deals with the,
Oversight.
that addresses the aluminum fencing. What about the chain link fencing? What's the purpose of that?
Same purpose, it's pool code compliant. Also for deer, the reason we went with 8-foot high was actually because the neighbor has an existing 8-foot high pool code fence as well, that we connected directly to. So our fence only covers 30 feet, and then the remainder of that fence is actually the neighbor's pool fence. So it's just cohesive with one another.
And did I understand you say that you felt that this somehow was consistent with the overall nature of the neighborhood?
It looks cohesive with the property itself.
It's a large property.
It's the only large estate style property on the whole road. It's not blocking any views coming in or out. It's not really for privacy. It's just to be pool code compliant and not disrupt the look of the whole area.
What's the word you're using before compliant?
Pool code.
So the fence around right along Reed Road, which has a break between the fence and the gate, you're saying that's to make it compliant with the pool?
Yeah, he's using the fence as a pool barrier.
Yes.
Okay. Christine?
I'm looking on the map here to see where the pool is. Why didn't you just put a fence around the pool?
It was a design choice to not obscure the pool itself. It overlooks the Hudson River, and not to create a barrier between the house itself and the pool.
But also the fence, the additional fence was to keep the deer out, because there's a lot of landscaping, which can be expensive. So just putting it around the pool wouldn't have prevented the deer from coming into the property. Is that? Oh, and yeah, it would have had to go, the fence itself would have had to go right through his patio, which would have aesthetically would not have been very attractive.
That's all, thank you.
Art?
Well, as the chairman said, isn't the driveway open? There's no fence? There's no fence at the driveway.
The driveway gate, been there
How tall?
Yeah, so there's
How tall?
a pre-existing.
Somebody else in there is talking. Have they been sworn in?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, he was here prior to the swearing in,
this is my husband, Frank Buller.
the owner of Minutes on Fence.
Here, come on, so, well, he can't see.
But the gate itself was pre-existing. It's 6 foot tall aluminum, matches the new fence on the walls. And
The question, I believe, was how tall is that fence, is that gate?
a little over 6 feet.
Sir, if you're gonna testify, just gonna state your name and you'll be sworn in.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought I was sworn in. Frank Bulla, Mid-Hudson Fence.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Okay, so that fence is 6 feet, and you have 8 feet for the rest of the property. We all, I believe.
No, 6 foot aluminum.
Pardon me?
The back is 6 foot aluminum.
Because he stated 8 feet.
30 feet of it, where it attaches to the neighbor's fence at the property corner, is 8 foot. The rest is 6 foot high, ornamental.
Okay. On that note, you know, it's fairly apparent to most people that have deer issues that the deer can clear a 6 foot fence without a lot of work. So you really
Yeah,
haven't
that's,
gained, you really haven't, excuse me, you really haven't gained anything
Sorry.
there, correct? And as far as
Well, so-
excuse me,
Sorry.
as far as aesthetically appealing, you took a beautiful stone wall and put a horrendous fence on top of it. How does that become an eye-appealing change?
Well, that's the homeowner's choice. We didn't design it.
It's
you know.
the zoning board is involved in the choice.
Right, right. Understood.
I'm no more questions for right now.
Phyllis?
You talked about a neighbor whose 8-foot fence you were attaching it to. Could you, address where that fencing is?
It
Which
is, if you can
property?
visualize, if you pull in the driveway at 19, it's to the right side,
If you're looking
right on
at
the right side
house?
property.
Okay.
Yes.
Can I ask a question? When we went by, we were on the street. We didn't go on the property. Did you go on the property?
No.
Would it be-
No, but we talked to the neighbors at, 19.
Yeah, but I think my question is, and we've done it with many of these questionable zoning issues, if we could go back again and actually get on the property and visually see what things look like from the property. They're saying the fence would block, around the pool would block the view of the Hudson. Okay, maybe, but I would like to see that, actually see what they're talking about, rather than see a fence on top of a wall and then assume that the rest is correct.
All right. Is the applicant available to set a date that we could do a field trip?
Sure. Yes.
All right. Well then, let me see if anyone else has any questions. Tony, you have any questions? I don't.
I think I would have to see it after the field trip too, because it was very difficult to see what's back there.
Okay.
Yeah, I felt it was difficult.
All right, then here's what I'm gonna suggest. First of all, I'm gonna take some comments from the public, but I'm gonna suggest that you contact the applicant and have him get in touch with Sonia from zoning, and we'll set up a date that's a date or dates that's convenient with members of the board to come out and visit and get on the property. Is that acceptable?
May I say one thing?
Who's saying that?
Kristen from Mid-Hudson
Okay,
Fence.
yes.
So because of pool code, it's very strict, especially in New York State, the styles that anybody can choose from. So it has to be flush bottom. I mean, Frank can tell you all the details of what is and is not acceptable, but the styles are very, very limited. So although the ornamental aluminum fence may not be as creative or detailed as somebody might want to see on top of a rock wall, that's what's pool code. It would be 3-rail, 54-inch high, which is just taller than a 4-foot high. And what else would be, and then the 2-rail.
2L 48 is really good.
Yeah, which is a flush bottom. So unfortunately, to make a fence pool code, it's very limited unless you get taller.
So who would inspect, would the building department give approval for the fence, to say that the fence was satisfy the requirement for a pool enclosure?
Building department does the pool. Yeah, I mean, I can tell you what the pool code is, what do you need to know?
No, I'm not convinced that what they're doing satisfies the pool code.
Oh, yeah, so the pool's in the backyard, you know, you could put a fence around the pool, that would suffice the pool barrier, but
Yeah.
they want it around the whole property.
Yeah, but would that satisfy the pool code?
Yes,
It would?
Yep.
Okay. All right, anything else you want to say?
Just that, I mean, and I'm sure the homeowner as well, are, would like to definitely work with the zoning board to make everybody happy and
We'd
to
like that
please
too.
whatever. Yeah, so, I just we're very willing to do whatever is necessary to help our client.
Okay. Anyone from the public who wishes to comment on this application? We'll take the people in the audience first. Why don't you come on up and state your name?
Hi, my name is Patricia Fallon. I live at 24 Reed Road, which is directly across the street.
Ms. Fallon, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
I do. So I live at the property which faces the majority of the steel or aluminum fence that was installed on top of the pre-existing.
You'd be closer to the microphone, just
I'm
so
sorry.
everyone can hear.
I live next to the longest stretch of the fence. It, as it is now, obstructs the entire length of the front view of my property. I submitted some comments, again, to this meeting and to the previous one in February. I sent some pictures of what the fence actually looks like now that it's installed. And I'm sure you've all had a chance to look at those. I'm just going to read, I'm not very comfortable with spontaneous arrest. I'm just going to read my statement. So I had some additional comments. I'm here speaking on behalf of myself and many of my neighbors. I also collected additional signatures, which I'd like to hand in, people who are opposed to the appearance of the fence. So when the new fence was put up, everyone that I spoke to reacted to it as an eyesore. I mean, my husband was even out at the mailbox and a random person in a pickup truck just drove by. It's like, my God, what are they doing over there? It was quite a change in the neighborhood. Like I said, various people in the neighborhood have, exclaimed about it, but we didn't realize that it was not in compliance, so we thought that the person had the right to put up what we felt was an ugly wall if they wanted an ugly fence. So when nobody spoke at the last meeting, I made my comments. I wasn't able at that point to get into the site and look at the actual variance request, but I have now. Apparently the owners are complaining that the fence is needed for security, to keep deer out, and to satisfy requirements for a pool fence. They claim that the fence will not change the character of the neighborhood or, quote, create a detriment to nearby properties. They also claim that the fence is, quote, consistent with the overall aesthetic of the surrounding neighborhood. Again, anyone I have spoken to who has seen the fence agrees that this isn't true. We've never had a steel or aluminum security fence in the neighborhood previously, and its addition has indeed changed the character of the neighborhood. As the person who has the misfortune to live directly facing the property, I can absolutely vouch that it has created a detriment to the entire front view from my house, and it has negatively affected the value of my home. The very fact that the owner chose to place the fence around the edge of his property instead of around the pool and whatever plants he wanted to protect from the deer, as people usually do, argues that even they thought the fence was unsightly and would prefer that everyone else in the neighborhood would have to look at it instead of them. Claiming that the fence is for security is laughable because it's in 2 stages. Someone would just have to stand on the broad stone wall and then climb over a 4-foot fence. I could do it myself.
You haven't though, right?
I haven't, but I could. Most people could, and for the same reason, it wouldn't work as a security fence. I don't think it would work as a pool barrier, although I don't know, if a 4-foot fence is compliant. As far as deer protection, there are numerous deer deterrence strategy, which I'm sure everybody in our neighborhood is familiar with, and they are available as alternatives as opposed to an unsightly total enclosure. So, like I said, we liked the, previous stone wall. We felt that it actually added to the character of the neighborhood. There are stone walls still in the neighborhood, and it has a certain rustic charm. The metal fence, it's just depressing to have to look at it every morning. And I don't really know what can be done. I guess I'm hoping if it's non-compliant, maybe they could just take the horrible thing away, and I think a lot of people in the neighborhood would support that.
Okay.
Thank you.
And we took your comments,
Okay,
your written comments will be part of the record.
okay, thank you.
Okay. Person with their, anyone else in the audience who wishes to comment on this application? Okay, the person that has their hand up, if you want to unmute yourself. Is Doyen?
Yep, she's trying.
Tim? Well,
Okay,
Tim.
okay. My name's Teresa Mancinelli, and I'll wait to be sworn in before I speak.
Teresa, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
It is, I do.
Okay, what would you like to say?
So, I live next door, 27 Reed Road. So I am the neighbor with the existing fence that they've attached the rest of the fence to. And I will say that that portion of what they spoke of, I can agree to. But I'm having a hard time believing that with all of the construction that has been going on that property since I moved into 27 Reed Road, December of 2024, and all of the permits that they have had to received and gotten approved, that this one just happened to fall through the cracks. And that fence took months to install because I had to listen to them drilling into the stone wall. I also had to listen to them putting in a new pool. So that's neither here nor there, and I get that they can do whatever they want on their property, but to come out and insult us by saying they didn't want to fence in their pool because it would be not aesthetically pleasing, but then it was okay to put this fence around the whole property. So we can look at something that's not aesthetically pleasing, but the owner of the home could not do that himself. So I will just say that, what Patricia, my neighbor at 24 Reed Road, read when she said that the applicant had stated that this would not take away from the beauty of the property or, the aesthetic of the property. I'm sorry, but the owner of the home, the applicant, does not get to make that decision for the people who live here. That might be his decision, and it might be what he's trying to sell everybody, but he doesn't get to tell us what we find pleasing or not. So I do take offense with that, and no pun intended with the offense word. Yeah, so that's what I have to say. And as far as being pool compliant, the existing fence that is around our pool, the one that they've attached their fence to, happens to have a gate. Because the people that used to own this house and the people that used to own 19 Reed Road were related. And so I guess at some point they wanted a gate between, so I could easily go down my steps in my backyard and open up the gate and access 19 Reed Road, behind the fence, okay, so in the yard. So I don't know how much security, somebody can get on my property, I'm not locked down here, and walk right through my property and get into that, if they really wanted. I'm not putting a lock on that gate. And I don't know, if it's my fence, I guess I'm the one that has the right to put the lock on the gate. So there's a security breach already. And I think that's all the notes I have, other than to give my opinion that I think that this is ask for forgiveness is easier than asking for permission in this particular situation. And money talks, so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else who wishes to comment on this application? I don't see anyone, so I'll move to adjourn this to the April 11th meeting.
Second?
Any discussion?
13.
I'm sorry? April 13th?
Yep.
Okay, well then, how about the 13th?
Sounds like a plan.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Okay, that brings us to item number 525 Lincoln Drive.
Hello, Sean Irving, homeowner, 25 Lincoln Drive.
Mr. Irving, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Why don't you describe your application?
I'm looking to add a attached two-car garage to my house for extra space and cars. If you had a chance to visit my neighborhood, a lot of the neighbors already have equivalent garages.
All right, can you describe the garage?
That I want to build.
Yeah.
24 feet wide by probably 30 feet deep.
Okay, and how tall?
That's it.
I'm sorry?
What'd you say?
How tall?
Oh, I want to keep it low. I want 8-foot walls because I have the two windows on the side of the
All right,
house.
so it's just be one story, it's not gonna?
Yeah, I want to keep it below those so I don't lose the windows.
All right, and is it about in line with the driveway that's there now, is that correct?
Yes, I think the driveway is actually a little wider than the garage is going to be.
Okay. All right, Christine?
No questions.
Art?
No questions.
Phyllis?
No questions.
Tony?
No questions.
Linda?
No questions.
Anyone from the public who wishes to comment on this application? All right, I don't see anyone, so I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Any discussion? Okay.
See
All right,
you guys.
you can stay till the end of the night, or you can find out tomorrow.
I'll probably call tomorrow. Thank you, guys.
Okay.
You too.
Next is item number 6. 15 Reed Road. Yeah, why don't you, we'd like to see that. You state your name and take off your hat.
Hello, I'm Sean O'Donnell. I'm looking for a variance on 15 Reed Road.
Hang on a
Mr.
second.
O'Donnell, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
All right, now you can describe what's going on.
Yeah, we're looking to tear down the house that's there now. It's an older house, and put a new house with the the elevations are the ones that I gave you. It actually sets back further than the house that's there now.
Tell me a little bit about the house. How many bedrooms?
I think
How big is it?
it's two, it's small, I think it's 2,000 square feet, 1,800. No, there's no garage.
How big is the garage?
There is no garage.
There is no garage.
No.
Wait, are we talking about the existing house or are we talking about the new house?
The new house.
Oh, the new house. It's a two-car garage. It's on that, I believe they submitted the,
Yeah, it's 30 feet wide.
yeah,
That's a two-car garage?
yeah.
Okay. And so how big is this house?
It's 3,100 square feet.
How many bedrooms?
Excuse me?
How many people are going to live there?
It's 4 people, 2 little,
So how many bedrooms?
4.
4 bedrooms? Okay. The garage is the thing that's marked garage, is that the entire garage, or is that part of the house too? or-
That's a total, just the garage.
It's just the garage, so
Yeah.
it's like 30 feet deep and 30 feet wide?
Yeah.
Okay. I have a concern about the parking lot in front of the garage. I think that's kind of big. And you have an issue with lot coverage. So I'm wondering, is there a way to reduce the apron to something?
To make it, the apron to the street smaller?
Yeah.
Yeah. To do, what is it, usually 12 feet,
Well, no, you can have, the driveway can be 15 feet wide.
15?
And I don't have any problem with the apron being as wide or almost as wide as the garage.
Oh, okay.
But I think it extends out like 40 feet from the garage.
Yeah.
That's a lot of parking lot.
Yeah, so just bring in 15 feet and then,
Well, I think that if you cut off the corner and reduced it, that would help you in your overall coverage, and it would take away some of my concerns about how big that apron is.
yeah. Okay.
That's-
They tried to design the house to fit with the neighborhood.
Yeah, no,
It
I
mimics
appreciate
a lot.
that it's farther back, and I appreciate that based upon the geology and topography of the substandard lot, that any house that would go there would need a variance.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. I'm just concerned about how big this parking area
Sure.
is. I'd like some way to reduce that.
Okay.
So, on your map, or, I want to make sure that we both understand what I'm talking about. So if you just cut off the corner up, down, okay, yeah, yeah. If you just even that out from where the driveway starts to turn to like halfway down, can you do that?
Yeah, or even move this here.
Yeah, that was, yeah. I think that would reduce some of your lot coverage. All right, is that something you think you can work out? Okay. And did you pick 14 feet for any particular reason? Did you pick the width of the driveway as 14 feet for any particular reason, or was that just to?
No, not really.
Okay, so currently driveways can be 15 feet wide, and you can get 2 cars by each other at 15. At 14, you'd be struggling to get one car to pass another car
Yeah,
on the driveway.
especially if you were parking, if there's parking, somebody's parking a car, yeah.
Especially if anybody I know is driving a car, so, all right.
So maybe I make that 15 and have it go straight in, as
That would-
opposed to,
That would make me happier. And then if you want to calculate what that would do to the lot coverage, that might help you out.
yeah.
Christine, did you have any questions?
No questions.
Art?
Question. This is actually a 3-car garage, right? Because you got a double door, then you got a single door. a single
Yeah,
license.
it could be,
It's
yeah.
a three-car garage.
Not for anybody I know pulling into that car, but yeah, you're probably right. You could possibly put 3 cars in there.
Tight though, 30 feet. That would be tight.
Big garage, big storage garage. That's all for now. Thank you. Thank you.
I don't have any questions.
Tony?
Nothing right now.
Linda?
When I went on the property, it seemed like there was under the deck and all around it, surrounding it, there was a lot of water.
On that property?
What?
On that property, on 15?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, in fact, on the way back, my shoes were had gotten soaking wet because there was no way to avoid it.
So what we're looking to do, if you noticed, and maybe you can, is that the house sits down in like a bowl.
Okay.
And the house to the left was way higher, the road's higher, and to the right, that property is way higher. So we were gonna lift the house up to grade, so it's not sitting in the bowl. Right now, there's no basement there, and you're right, it's wet. So we're looking to bring it up to street level, to stop all that ponding right there.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone from the audience, for the public who wishes to comment on this application?
Okay, if you wouldn't mind sitting, Sean, if you wouldn't mind just sitting down, to the next row down, that would be, just find it makes people more comfortable.
Hi again.
You can state your name again, but you're still under oath.
Yes, okay. So Patricia Fallon, 24 Reed Road. I just wanted to say, I'm sure the board is aware of this, and I'm not speaking directly to this variance, except that as it relates to the other matter of the fence at 19 Reed Road, because they're both owned by the same person. Since in that case, they don't seem to be really interested in compliance and seem to think that, the zoning code is a kind of an afterthought. I don't know if this is appropriate, but maybe the board shouldn't consider granting the same person a second set of variances until they've cleared up the first problem. So that, I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
All right, and I would note that there have been some public comments that I think are in writing that are part of the record. Okay, based upon my discussions with the applicant, I'm gonna ask him if you can recalculate what the coverage would be with the change in the driveway and come back. All right, so I'm gonna move to adjourn this to the April 13th meeting
Second.
for that purpose. Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Okay. Yeah, you can pass that back. Put that in. Number 7, Habitat for Humanity. This needs to be posted or re-advertised.
So, the board has before it one of the variances that's needed, but, a reapproval, but there will be an additional variances needed for the driveways. I know that Amy's on, so it may be, that the board wants to hear about those variances, and if there's any additional information that the board would want prior to next month, we can make sure that that's in the record.
All right, then why don't you state your name?
Amy Bombardieri with Diane Stokosa for Habitat.
Amy, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
All right, why don't you describe the application?
So This is a 5-lot subdivision for Habitat for Humanity, and it was the variance was previously approved. Sorry. The variance was previously approved there's a 100-foot setback requirement in this area because it abuts land that was previously developed for residential use. We can't make that 100-foot setback. It would cost us a lot. And for Habitat to have this be a viable subdivision, they need at least 5 lots. So that variance for the 100-foot setback was previously approved, and the variance for a 25-foot landscape buffer in that same area was approved at the same time. The driveway variance, I wasn't sure that we actually did need a variance for that.
Chrissy? The parking in front.
The driveway is being in front of the house.
Yeah,
Do
that's what
we
the
actually need
variance
a?
is for. They need,
We need that. Okay.
yes. So
So that's the other.
yeah, we can do all
Go
that
ahead.
for next month. I'm not sure that the variance is needed for all of the houses. The way the driveway code currently reads is that a driveway has to go through the front yard, cross the front yard to a garage, or at least past the front plane of the house. So Chrissy needs to determine, and do a denial letter. Definitely the middle 3 obviously don't cross the front of the house. I'm not sure if the 1st or the 5th technically crosses past the front plane of the house. So that's something Chrissy will need to determine. So they'll either need 3 or 5 variances for that. But that's what the board will be considering next month.
Okay.
So that's the variance that was not previously approved.
Right.
Well, it wasn't requested, right?
It was
Yeah.
requested, technically, it was missed
Yes,
during the
it was missed.
process, so it wasn't noticed. So there's no public hearing notice for it and publication for it.
Okay. All right, anyone from the public who wishes to comment on this application, if you'd unshare your screen,
Oh, sorry.
that's all right. All right, I don't see anyone, so I'll move this to adjourn to the April 13th, and it'll be renoticed.
We will notice for we're adjourning for this one that was properly noticed, and then we will notice for the ones that were not noticed.
And there have been no changes since it was last approved, right, in 2024?
The change, the driveways are different.
Okay.
That's the cause for the new
No
variance requirement.
change to the buffer variance that was previously granted.
Okay. Then, was there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. See you next month.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right, that brings us to number 8, Marist.
Good evening. For the record, my name is John Andrews. I'm with the firm of Rhodey, Soik and Andrews, and I'm appearing on behalf of Marist University.
Okay. Are you an attorney?
I am
No,
not.
okay. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
I do, yes, ma'am. Good evening. This is a rather dull application following this meeting, so I apologize. I hope you're all awake. The project before you tonight involves the installation of an illuminated fox head logo sign on the McCann Center, directly above the McCann Center main entry. The sign is a colored version of the Marist University Athletic Department logo. The sign is internally illuminated. It's approximately 73.6 square feet in size. The sign will be mounted to the glass storefront centered on and immediately above the main entrance to the McCann Center. The preferred size was selected by Marist. It is intended to make a statement defining the home of the Red Foxes. With the change to a university, they're looking at improving their branding. The size was selected as the appropriate scale for its location. The slightly larger sign fits better architecturally and visually in the location where it is placed. Additionally, that larger sign is structurally more appropriate for the selected location. It's being suspended from a storefront, the mullions, and that the larger sign allows a better distribution of the load across those mullions rather than, so it affects the glass in between. And I can't stress enough that the appearance and presence created by the sign was the most important factor in determining the size. Marist settled on a size that is, in their view, not significantly larger than the permitted size, but one that creates the desired effect. They did go through a series of iterations to get to the sign. It can't be seen from any place else but inside the campus. And as you enter the south parking area, as you drive down, you drive in by the stadium, and then you turn and you go down to the lower parking lot that's in front of McCann. That's when you get to see it, and it becomes a focal point. And it's really, it's their intent to establish a home for the Red Fox Athletic Department. That's the whole intent of McCann. And what we require are two variances. They're actually under the same code section. And we require one for a sign to be attached to a building on a wall that is not facing a public street. Doesn't face Route 9, it's internal, it faces almost due north, so that the only place you can really see it is inside the campus. The second portion of that is a maximum of 50 square feet. We are proposing 23.6, or 73.6, excuse me, an increase in 23.6 feet. Here again, it's internally facing, it is, and when it comes to square footage, if you look at that full face of the McCann Center, it's a long face. Most of it is windows. Most of it are lighted windows, and you can see. But the main entry itself is sort of framed off with a brick surround and kind of semi-isolated, even though it's in the same plane. And that sign at 73.6 feet is only about 13% of that. So it's under your allowable percentage, which would be 25, but it's above your maximum size, but that's a function of the area that it's being placed on and where you can see it. So that's why we're here this evening.
Okay, I don't have any questions. Christine?
No, I was just gonna ask you, in this picture here, I know it says not to scale, but is that approximately what it would look like?
That's what pretty close to what it would look like.
Size and everything? Okay.
Yes.
That's all, thank you.
All right.
There should be a separate little sheet that shows them. It had the 50
It's a fold-out sort of
requirement
thing.
is,
Oh, I didn't see
yes, one is this 50 square feet, one is this 73.6. And I know they don't look visually that different, but they are in terms of impact when you view it from a distance. And it doesn't do it a lot, but it separates, the supports are separated enough to take the stress off the middle joint on those mullions.
Thank you.
Did we get anything from the county on this? Nothing, right?
Yeah, it's a matter of local concern.
Okay, I'm good with it. They say you can't see it from any place except the parking lot, so I'm good.
I don't have any questions.
Okay. Tony?
No questions.
Linda?
No question.
Anyone from the audience who wishes to comment on this application?
They all went home.
I don't see anyone on Zoom? All right, then I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. Does anyone need a break before we go to deliberate on the two?
There's only two, man. Let's go.
Okay. All right, then let's do item number 8 first. Okay. I move that the ZBA determine that this is an unlisted action appropriate for uncoordinated review and declare itself to be the lead agency.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. And I move the ZBA determine that the action will not have a significant adverse effect on the environment for the reasons set forth in the determination of non-significance for this action.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Then I'll move, Christine, you mind making a motion?
Sure.
There is a staff report on this.
I move that the board approve the request for an area variance set forth in item number 8. The This decision is based on a review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in the public hearing, and results of site visits by board members. In approving this variance, the board adopts the findings as set forth in the staff report. So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion? And if the staff report didn't emphasize the fact that it's not visible for any place other than within the campus, I think is, also adds for its approval, so, all right? Any other discussion? All those in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Then that motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. And that brings us to 25 Lincoln Drive, item number 5. All right, mind making this motion? There is not a staff report on this one.
No.
But does anybody have any concerns about this one? All right, let me offer these findings. Whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance. This is consistent with many other homes with garages in the neighborhood and doesn't in any way change the nature of the neighborhood. And whether it can be sought by, the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variance. This is the only thing that's available to them. And whether it's substantial, mathematically so, but because it has little impact on the neighborhood, I think it's de minimis. And there's no evidence that will have any physical or environmental impact on the neighborhood. And although this is self-created, that's not a reason to deny the application. So I offer those findings. And Art, do you mind making a motion?
Not at all. So this is number 5?
5.
I move that the board approve the request for an area variance set forth in item number 5. This decision is based on a review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in the public hearing, and results of site visits by board members. In approving this variance, the board adopts the findings as set forth by the chair.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? All right, then that motion carries. And then I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, then that motion carries.
We're gonna be busy next month.
I'm sorry?
If these all come back, we're gonna be busy.